So I'm just going to preface this with the fact that I really enjoyed this show. I thought it was an incredible show, but this is not a Progress issue. This is a Ritz issue. I'm going to look dead down the camera while I say this. We were at the Ritz. We were watching Progress, and you know what? I wanted a snack. Me and my partner, we wanted a snack. We went to the bar and we got munchies. Fair enough. Munchies. Underrated chocolate in the UK. £9 English pounds for 2 bags. What the fuck is going on? Hello and welcome to FTTR, I am Hugh McQuaid, and today we are talking about Progress Wrestling Chapter 186, Noisy Neighbours from Manchester. That's right, the show has finally arrived. I was there live in person and I cannot wait to talk about this show. But before we do, please hit subscribe, please like this video, please comment your thoughts down below. I'll try to reply to every single one of them as we dive into this. Starting with my overall thoughts on the show, I thought this was a very, very fun outing in Manchester with some incredible wrestling as you'd expect from Progress. A great main event, a great Atlas title, a great opener. There was a lot of stuff to love on this show and I really, really enjoyed it. Not my favourite Progress show of the year, not my favourite Manchester Progress show of the year, but overall it was a lot of fun. Now, when we talk about these live shows, we can go on a few tangents because, unlike my other reviews where I'm watching from home on Triller, no notes. No notes. This is all coming off the top of my noggin, which had 4 hours of work, a drive to Manchester, and then a journey back from Manchester, and I'm recording this at about 9:30 in the evening. So this could go very, very wrong. This could go very, very badly, and the edit job on this, I'm hoping I'm going to be able to salvage everything, but I'm looking at the camera timer right now, and I've been talking for a long time, so shall we just dive into the show, which opened with Jerry Bakewell doing a fantastic job on commentary, well, ring announcing, you know what I mean, as he always does. And then we had the opening match, which was Northwest Strong versus Northwest Strong, Luke Jacobs versus Tom Thelwell. This was as hard-hitting as you would like a match between Luke Jacobs and Tom Thelwell to be. This was a really great match. I had such a fun time watching this because it just exemplified what Northwest Strong is, what Luke Jacobs and Tom Thelwell bring. They bring the intensity, they bring the hard-hitting strikes. It was so enjoyable, and just sort of like the story of this match, Luke sort of being the older, more wiser member of Northwest Strong, him getting a little bit pissed off. He did the jumping senton, he told Tom Thelwell to piss off. He was the one who initiated the slap at the beginning, which really got Tom Thelwell fired up, and yeah, it just escalated into Lariat Central, Slam Central. There was this really cool sort of spinning Michinoku driver that Luke Jacobs did, looked awesome. Yeah, this was a hard-hitting one. It went a lot longer than I thought it would, to be honest. As like the opener, I thought it was going to go relatively shorter than this, but no, it went a lot longer, and Tom Thelwell got a lot more in than I thought he would, to be honest. And yeah, Luke Jacobs picked up the win, because of course he did. He got some good moves in there, did Thelwell, but I think we all knew that Luke was going to pick up the win. Luke picked up the win over Tom Thelwell. They had a really good show of respect at the end. Yeah, I was a big fan of this. I'm a massive fan of Northwest Strong. We'll talk about them in just a little minute as well. But yeah, Northwest Strong all over this show. And I think that is a cool way to look at it. A cool way of potentially bringing more people from Northwest Strong in. Get the whole faction in there again. Yeah, I can't wait to see where this goes. There was no sort of big angle after. Sort of say, this is what is next for Luke Jacobs. But I don't really know where you go with Luke, to be honest, unless this was sort of him passing the torch to Thelwell, who's going to be in Progress more. Yeah, I'm not too sure where we go, but I'm intrigued, and overall, this was a fun way to open the show. Then Simon Miller comes out, dressed in street clothes. He goes to the ring, and he cuts promo saying he has damaged a nerve in his neck and will be unable to compete tonight. He needs to rest for 6 weeks, I think he said. Yeah, half a month and a half, that one. He's going to be at Vendetta facing Charlie Sterling, and yeah, he cuts a really nice promo saying about how maybe Charlie Sterling did it intentionally and who should show up but none other than Charlie Sterling himself. And Charlie comes down. Charlie, got to say it correctly. He comes down and he cuts a promo back. He runs down Simon Miller, says how he used to be a fan of his when he was on Watch Mojo, up, down, down, all that good stuff. And then he does what no one should do. He brings Simon Miller's girlfriend into this. He mentions Liz. That fires up Simon Miller. Simon Miller gets physical, even though he's not cleared to wrestle. He gets physical with Sterling. They brawl, and a low blow from Sterling sort of gives Sterling the upper hand, and he leaves on top. He leaves the ring, setting up this match very, very well as Simon Miller stares at him on the ramp. I thought this was great. I thought this was a really solid angle. If anything, I'd like more angles like this in Progress. I feel like we're missing a big main event angle, sort of that would happen after a main event. This is the kind of thing I really love, and Progress have done really, really well. What they seem to have pulled back on a little bit is some of the more soap opera angles, and this I loved. I thought it was awesome. Sterling was perfect. Simon Miller was perfect. This feud, really, really good. Really into it. But that leaves Adam Maxted without a match. Adam Maxted was supposed to face Simon Miller, so he comes down to the ring. He calls us all virgins and simps, which, fair enough. And who should answer the open challenge of Adam Maxted but Ethan Allen? Northwest Strong again. Ethan Allen comes down. Now, fun fact, my partner is a massive Ethan Allen fan. She prefers Ethan Allen to Luke Jacobs, and I'm like, they are one and the same. They are the young guns. You cannot choose. But she loves Ethan Allen, and she was a massive fan of this match, as was I. I thought this was great. This started off really hot with Ethan Allen just going in straight to Adam Maxted, taking him out, hitting a big dive to the outside. And then, yeah, he was just laying in kicks. I really liked some of the ground offense that he was doing, sort of when Adam Maxted had the upper hand. He was still getting kicked every now and then by Ethan Allen on the floor, and Ethan Allen was just not giving in. He hit a huge sort of belly-to-belly overhead suplex from the top rope. Looked awesome. And Adam Maxted, you know, he's really good at getting heat from the crowd. He gets some good heat from the crowd, but Ethan Allen picks up the win. He locks in this sick-looking, almost inverted cattle mutilation, which it looked awesome. It looked really, really cool. And Adam Maxted taps out. Adam Maxted goes to the back, but he's still jaw-jacking. He's still making eye contact with Ethan Allen, so maybe this isn't the last time we'll see these two in the ring together, because I think they had really good chemistry. I was a huge fan of this. A big solid win for Ethan Allen. Ethan Allen, single star Ethan Allen, because I swear to God, one of my favourite matches, one of my favourite shows was the Burning Hearts Weekender, and the story that Ethan Allen told in those matches with Haskins and Dijak. I thought they were awesome. Big, big push for Ethan Allen, please. Next up we got Tate Mayfairs versus Kid Lykos. Now, I was a bit apprehensive as to how this match would be received, because Kid Lykos is a heel at the moment. He's been getting booed. Tate Mayfairs, you know, he was a babyface last time he was in Progress, but I can't remember the last time he was in Progress. He was in Progress like a while ago. So I wasn't sure if we'd maybe have sort of a heel-heel dynamic here, but people were definitely more behind Tate in this match, because Lykos was doing his best damn job to get people to boo him, and he did it really, really well. He was rolling out of the ring for ages. He barely got in the ring, and it was like really well done to sort of get the crowd on his side. He spat his chewing gum miles across the venue. Like, he was doing a really good job to get booed, and Tate was exceptional as a babyface. He was like a fired up version of Tate Mayfairs. He wasn't sort of like the more goofy, flamboyant Tate Mayfairs. There was definitely a serious side. He was getting more pissed off the more Lykos would roll out of the ring. I loved that. These two had great chemistry as well. They told the story of Lykos working over the arm of Tate Mayfairs, and Tate Mayfairs, he got his arm wrapped around the ropes. He got thrown into a ring post. The arm was the target for Lykos, but Lykos still couldn't get the job done. You know, he was being bested for the majority of this match by Tate, who kept coming back. He hit a really beautiful froggy bow, looked beautiful, went up to do a coast to coast. That sort of gave Lykos the advantage, but you also get a great top rope pedigree, a Pepsi plunge, if you will, from Tate Mayfairs to Kid Lykos, and it looks like that's going to be the one that seals the win, but Lykos rolls to the outside. That is where I think we get the brilliant finish. So for the past few months, Kid Lykos has been allegedly slipping and a screwdriver, a hammer. He's been putting a screwdriver in his knee pad allegedly. And here, my view was distracted. Maybe he did. Who knows? He may have slipped another one into his knee pad. He manages to hit a knee on Tate, but that doesn't put away Tate. He goes to the outside, gets rid of the hammer out of his knee pad, and as he gets back in the ring, a beautiful, beautiful running knee from Tate Mayfair's, the sort of V-trigger-esque knee to the head of Lycos, and that's the 1-2-3. Tate gets the win, and Lycos is shook. He's shook by this because he thought he had it won with the loaded knee, but he didn't. Instead, he spent too much time getting rid of it, didn't really get to pin Tate. This was brilliant. I loved this finish so much. I thought it was sensational stuff, and I can't wait to see what Tate does next, because I'm a big fan of Tate Mayfair's. I'm a big fan of Lycos to sort of see where that's going, the sort of implosion of Lycos Gym. But I want to see more from Tate. I want to see World Champion Tate. I want to see Atlas Title Division Tate. I want to see a potential tag team run for Tate Mayfair's, because I think he's just that damn good. I love this match. I thought it was awesome. Get well soon, Michael Oku as well. Next up, we had the match for the Progress Wrestling Women's World Championship as Rain Leverkusen took on Session Moth Martina, accompanied by Owada-san. Now, I can't pronounce his new name. I think it's Kuga. So we're going to go with that. Kuga. The family, not accompanied by Gene Money. I believe Gene Money was in North at the time, North Wrestling at the time. So no Gene, but we had the family there. Now, I liked this match. I didn't love this match. I think my issue with the match itself was for Rain's first defense, and I bloody love Rain Leverkusen, I wish it was a little bit more serious, because this was more about some of the comedy and sort of the interaction between Cougar and Session Moth, in that they weren't on the same page, they couldn't communicate very well, they were having miscommunication. Really funny bit where sort of she tells him to introduce her, and he says, what does he say? He says, Mummy Moth, Mama Moth, something along those lines. That was really funny. But I feel like I wanted Rain's first defense to be a really serious one. Instead, whilst a good match and a funny match, this wasn't as serious as I wanted it to be. You had some great moments in there, like Cougar on the outside catching Session Moth. He tried to interfere, he grabbed the leg, he got given a beer, accidentally spits beer in the face of Session Moth, and that leads to Rain Leverkusen picking up the win. Yeah, I liked it, didn't love it. I just wish it was more serious, and we'll talk about it now. It looks like it is getting more serious, because at Vendetta it is going to be bloody Rain Leverkusen versus bloody Emerson Jane. That match I cannot wait for. I think that is going to be freaking awesome. So yeah, overall, liked, did not love this match. Then we had the second half. Okay, I'm going to gush, because this was probably my favourite thing on the show. It wasn't my favourite match on the show, but it was my favourite thing on the show. And that was Scott Oberman versus Chris Ridgway. So I was excited for this match. Chris Ridgway, I bloody love. I love Chris Ridgway. I've been a fan. He faced Jonathan Gresham at the first Progress show I ever went to. And Scott Oberman, I've been a massive fan of. Since Burning Hearts, since seeing him in Catch, I love the guy. He's awesome. This, to me, what happened here, cemented that I think he is a next level talent. And that is, he makes his entrance, the slow, like eerie entrance, just soaking in the booze. And I was like, as I was watching this live, I was like, this is the closest we've got in Progress to sort of the heat that Spike Trevay got. Spike Trevay is my Progress World Champion, and he just got an insane amount of... He didn't even need to say anything. He would just get booed. Scott Oberman has that. He has that relationship with the crowd where they would barely let him speak. And that is the kind of heat, that is the kind of bad guy that you need. And Oberman was getting that from this crowd. It's not just the interaction with the crowd, though, because he can also go. He's also a fantastic wrestler, and I love the slow, methodical pace that he goes at, because he cuts a promo. Chris Ridgway's not here. Chris Ridgway's not turned up, so he offers an open challenge out. Who's going to come out? And it's Drew Parker. Drew Parker, I've not really seen much Drew Parker. I think I saw him in TNT, I do believe. I think he had a match with Emerson Jane. And they had a great match. They had a really fun match. But my highlight was Scott Oberman. Just the way that he moved, the way he would work over Drew, the way that he interacted with the crowd when they would call him Prince Charming and he did the bow. It's that kind of call and response thing. It's that kind of interaction that I think makes a great, great wrestler. And I think he's got everything. He is awesome. And Drew Parker was a great, great person to put in there with him, because he's so dynamic, he's so energetic, immediately hitting like a massive dive to the outside. He hit a great spinning cutter as well, like a slingshot through the ropes cutter, which looked awesome. And then you have sort of the closing sequence of this, which ends with Scott Oberman hitting a big pile driver on Drew Parker and picking up the win. The right decision, absolutely. I want to see more of Oberman in Progress. I want to see more of Drew Parker in Progress as well. I think this was a home run. This was an absolutely home run. It wasn't my favourite match on the show, but in terms of presentation, the Oberman character, I think, is flawless, and I want to see more of it. Please. Home run stuff. Next up, we got RPD taking on Charles Crowley. Now, I was a little bit, I'm not going to say underwhelmed. I enjoyed this match, but I think the issue I had with this match was character-wise. I felt like we were going for a change for Crowley, but here, he seemed like the same Crowley. He even had like the old entrance music. It didn't seem like he had progressed. It seemed like we were going for a more serious Crowley, but he was still doing, he's obviously going to do goofy things, but it felt like a little bit of a step back. I wanted to see a little bit more progression, but that being said, in terms of character-wise, maybe I wasn't as into that. The match itself I thought was great, and I thought the interaction between RPD and Crowley was genius, because you've got someone in there like RPD who is a boxer, who is a proper fighter against Charles Crowley, a mad ringmaster. That clash of styles was awesome. Every time at the beginning when RPD went to hit Crowley and Crowley would duck and he was like, this is embarrassing for you. And then the final shot where he just, boom, RPD just clocks him right across the jaw was awesome. It was so well done. Like the match itself was really well done. And RPD was like, he was loving it. He was getting such great moves, and he had a diving cutter, springboard cutter. Looked awesome. But ultimately, it was Crowley who managed to lock in like a varied, I think it was like some sort of choke. It was like I couldn't really see from the angle that I was in. It looked like it was sort of a choke with his legs, almost like a Rings of Saturn kind of thing. Locked in, managed to make RPD pass out. And that was the match. There was no sort of angle after. There was a sign of respect after. No heel turn or anything. Sort of an endorsement from RPD to Charles Crowley. Yeah, I liked this. I just want to see, I thought we were going in a serious direction for Crowley. So I hope we see a more serious character going forward, because maybe this was just a blip, but it felt like it slipped back to old Crowley. I want to see serious title contender Crowley. Let's make that happen. But yeah, really good. Speaking of really good, Progress Atlas Championship match. Will Kroos defending against Jay Joshua. This was my match of the night. This match was amazing. This match was so awesome. As soon as they announced that they were doing this, we knew it was going to be awesome. And it was, because look at the size of them. Look at the size of them, but look at how fast they move. Jay Joshua, I've only had the pleasure of seeing one match of his, and I believe it was against Shaw Samuels at Summer Sizzler. That is the only live experience I've seen Jay Joshua have. He's, again, like Scott Oberman, a next level talent. He has such almost the opposite to Scott Oberman, in that he is so likable and so endearing that you want to cheer for him. And he had everyone in the room behind him. Even Will Kroos was healing it up a little bit, jaw-jacking with a portion of the fans who were chanting, "Say less." It was so well done, and we wanted both guys to win, but they couldn't. So in the end, they just had a kaiju fight and nearly destroyed the goddamn ring, because from where I was sitting, when they were hitting superplexes, That ring was buckling. It looked insane. You had this amazing sequence in the middle of the match where they were just hitting bombing each other with these forearm strikes, ending with multiple German suplexes, no sells. It was amazing. There was this awesome bit where Will Kroos is just standing and Jay Joshua looks like he's going for a shoulder tackle or a spear, dives at him and just gets clocked mid-air, and it sounded amazing. Then you had Will Kroos pick up Jay Joshua for the driver, for the cruise control, drops him on his head, kick out, then another one, 1, 2, 3, eventually put him down. This was a Pacific Rim, Godzilla level kaiju fight, if ever I did see one, and I loved it. It was one of the best Progress matches of the year. I can't wait to watch it back. I want to see more Jay Joshua in Progress, please. Let's make that happen. Awesome. Absolutely awesome. The best Atlas title match that I've seen in a long time as well. Like, I like the Atlas title stuff, but this match was next level. I think Will Kroos with that belt is something special. Really is something special. I have zero bad things to say about this. Exceptional match. And then we came to the main event. Cara Noir versus Lio Rush. Now this match, I'm a Cara Noir diehard. I love Cara Noir. I'm a massive Lio Rush fan as well. So this match was for me. This match was absolutely for me. And I loved this match. I thought it was great. However, there's one bit we'll talk about now. We'll talk about now, then we'll talk about all the good stuff. And that is magic. Let's talk about the magic aspect of this match, because Lio Rush comes out, he's in the Black Heart gimmick, he's got all the face paint, he's got the mask on, he looks awesome. It is easily the coolest face paint I've ever seen in my life. And it looks awesome, and he's got like the Black Heart ring around his neck, and he takes it off when he gets into the match. Now, I'm not up on Black Heart lore, so I didn't know if this was magic, but there is a moment in the match in which Cara Noir takes the necklace, puts it on himself, and at one point Lio Rush snaps his fingers, and that seems to cause physical pain to Cara Noir. That bit for me was a little bit too goofy. A little bit too goofy from what I wanted this to be, considering at the end of the last show we had a belt covered in blood and feathers to then go into magic. There's a little bit on this sort of... There's a little bit too goofy for me, but the match itself was super cool, because like every Cara Noir match, he just tells great stories. And the story here that he was telling was that he's just over Blackheart Lio Rush, and just sort of the way he was stomping around the ring, the way he was sitting on a chair at ringside, the way he'd sort of like slowly kick Lio Rush was really well done. It was really well done. I think his facial expressions tell everything. He does so much without speaking, and a lot of wrestlers do speak in the ring. But then you had, on the other side, you had Lio Rush doing this high-pitched, crazy, imp-like voice, which worked well. Their dynamic worked really, really well in the... Particularly when, I loved this, the opening bit where Lio Rush does his sort of dart around. He sort of does the 4 sections of the rope to run around someone. And Cara Noir is just like, what the fuck is going on? What the fuck is going on? He's just standing there, not feeling the fear. He's just kind of like, I'm done. I'm just kind of done with this. I thought he was great. I thought Cara put an excellent performance in here. And so did Lio Rush. Lio Rush goes 1000% with this Blackheart stuff. And it absolutely pays off. This match was a little bit slower paced because the majority of the opening was Cara working over Blackheart, just inflicting more pain, working over him, stomping him in the corner. But then when it also got into the magic stuff, when he got burnt by the heart, when he sort of pushed to the outside, and you had just relentless fury from Blackheart Lio Rush. When he ran around the ring, hit his awesome dive running on all 4s. It's insane to see him do this stuff live, and that gave him the advantage. And that's sort of when Cara sort of backs up and he's like, okay, I understand now. I understand what I'm dealing with. And there were a few hope spots in there. You got a nice frog splash near fall from Lio Rush. He locked in his sort of inverted bridging choke, which looked really cool. But ultimately, it was Cara who picked up the win. He hit a punt kick, a nasty looking punt kick, and I hope he's okay after, because it looked like he was sort of limping out of there. I hope he didn't tweak something. Hope he's okay. He hit a punt kick to put away Lio Rush for the 1-2-3. Awesome. I loved it. I loved it aside from the goofy magic stuff, to be honest. But people love that. So do each his own. And that capped off the show. Overall, I had a lot of fun with the show. I really, really did. I think the only thing that was sort of missing for me, other than what I've talked about here, is I would have liked, particularly if we're getting the match at Vendetta, some sort of man like Darius, maybe a video package, some sort of receipt for the, you know, the belt covered in blood kind of thing. Some sort of receipt for that. But to Cara, that is what I'd have liked to see ending off the show and really leave us wanting more for Vendetta, because Vendetta's the next show. So they've got to do a lot of setup stuff there to sort of really get us amped for that. So I would have liked, if they're doing that match, if they're doing Cara versus Darius at that show, I would have liked an angle here to really heat that up and really show, okay, we have a grudge feud here. But overall, it's Progress, man. They put on great wrestling, and they did put on a great wrestling show. Like, it was really fun. I really enjoyed it. Overall, I'd give it 4 out of 5. I don't think it's the strongest Progress show of the year. I don't think it's as good as Ordinary People from earlier in the year, which had the amazing Luke Jacobs Cara Noir match. Yeah, 4 out of 5. But yeah, what can I say? They always deliver. They always deliver. And I want to know what you guys think down in the comments below. Were you a fan? Were you not? Let me know if you were there. Let me know your thoughts down below, and I'll try to apply to every single one of them. Thank you all ever so much for your support, and have a nice day.